Hey. How is everybody tonight? Give you guys a chance to get in there so we can get started. Hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me okay? Hey, how are you, Ms. Model Experience? Can you hear me? Perfect. Hi, Ron. Hi, Javier. Where are you guys from? Hey, Chanel. Oh, I'm shaking. I'm shaking the I'm shaking the desk. I'm excited. Give people a chance to get in. I see you guys coming in. I'm a little early. New Haven, Connecticut. I don't think I've ever been to New Haven. I have been to Connecticut, but have not been to New Haven yet. Puerto Rico, Javier, I was actually scheduled to come to Puerto Rico. I had to reschedule for some work stuff, but it's still on my plan. I will be there hopefully before the end of 2021. Hey, New Jersey. Hey, Arizona. I love Arizona. Scottsdale, one of my favorite places on the planet. Virginia Beach. You know, Brittany, that is when they give you those security questions when you're logging into places and they're like, what's the first beach you ever visited? Virginia Beach is always my answer. My brother was in the Navy and I would go visit him there. See here. See as you guys come in. Okay, I've got some questions coming in. Perfect. Well, as everybody gets logged on, I want to just kind of do a brief introduction. Welcome to CPTV. This is the place for aspiring and growing entrepreneurs who want to turn their passions into businesses and their businesses into freedom. You guys know how we do it around here. I am CP, and I absolutely love my CPTV family. I'm all about teaching you the strategies, the tips, the tools, the resources, and the step-by-step processes so that you can actually get your business set up your infrastructure, and ultimately grow to that level of entrepreneurial freedom that you deserve. So I am so excited to be here with you guys tonight. And originally, I was thinking that I wanted to just make another video to answer some of your questions. And I was going to kind of do a pre-recorded, Q&A type of video, with the whole kit and caboodle. And I thought to myself, there is nothing better than going live, right? So I decided to jump on with you guys live tonight to make sure that I could answer all of your questions. And these are specifically as it relates to, startup stuff, because I think I might do another one. I've gotten so many questions. I've kind of divided them up. So next week, I'll probably do general startup questions. But so many of the questions that I get come from when you guys are setting up your business communication systems, your email, your address, your phone. I've got a whole list of questions here that I want to make sure I can jump on and answer. And of course, if you have questions, make sure you put them in the chat so that I can answer them for you, kind of a drill fire way, and give you the best responses and my experiences that I've used to kind of walk you guys through how to get that stuff set up. So I'm excited. Also, you'll note if you are in the chat or in the comments, I am going to be launching the Startup Business Academy. It is a membership-based online training and coaching program that I have been able to, over the last 18 months, I've been working really, really hard to figure out a way to take my one-on-one coaching that I do with startup entrepreneurs and make it more available to the masses. Because if you guys are in my coaching program, or you have been, or you've applied in the past, you know that I only can accept a handful of entrepreneurs to work with one-on-one throughout the year. And that program is also a very high ticket program, and it's not always accessible or easily affordable for a lot of startup entrepreneurs. And I've been racking my brain for almost 18 months through the whole pandemic on how I can take what I'm able to do in a one-on-one way and do the best job I can at actually bringing it to the masses. And that, my loves, is what the Startup Business Academy is. So we're actually going to be opening up the cart, opening up the doors, launching everything this time next week. I'll probably do it on a live, so make sure that you join me in that live. I will answer more startup questions, but they'll be more general. But I'll also open up the cart for those of you who want to enroll and take a look around. So make sure that you check it out. And if you want to make sure that you get notified and actually get early access to it before next Tuesday, probably a day early or so, make sure that you sign up for the SUA waitlist. The link is in the comments. All you got to do is click it and it would automatically put you on that wait list. And that wait list is going to get kind of premier access before everyone else gets access to it. So I'm excited to be here with you guys today, talking about business addresses, your phone, your email, just generally your communication system, process, your structure that you have in your business when you're starting it up, why they're so important, how critical it is, and also kind of gotten questions about how to manage all of that communication. Because I've gotten questions from folks that says, okay, now that I have these emails set up, what do I do? How do I filter them? How do I keep track of which ones are customer service and which ones are business related? So I want to get into some of that stuff today as well. So welcome. I don't think I got a chance to say hi. Hi, Yvette. Hi, Leonard. Hi, K-Wit. Zero from North Carolina. It's nice to see you here. And be sure if you've got questions as I talk and answer some questions, or if you've got some that have been looming that you've been wanting to ask, make sure you put them in the chat and I will make sure I grab them. So I'm going to dive in to one of the first questions that I get, and it is related to your phone system. So one of the first questions I've gotten is from Sir Lenzo McLeod. Hi, if you are watching. So does Unitel provide you with a new number, or is it your same number? And can the number be put on a different phone? And that's a question I get. So just to give you guys kind of a backstory, I've done various trainings. I also have a video that we will try to link to once the live is over to give you access to it, that I talk about setting up your phone and your business email cheap, which is probably how most of you guys found me, and welcome. And that email, I make recommendations and give you a couple of hacks. And one of my favorite VoIP systems, especially for startup entrepreneurs, is Unitel. I recommend them because they are really inexpensive, and they give you a professional business phone. And actually, I use Unitel still in my business, in one of them. The other one, I have a lot more higher call volume, and we actually have desk phones for my team. So I use a different one. But Unitel is great for my VoIP system. And the reason why I loved it and I started with it is because it gives you a professional number. So you can put that out as your business number. And when people call, you have a receptionist, you can kind of do call routing, you can set up various extensions for different departments, but it can also ring directly to your cell phone. So when I get a Unitel call or a business call, it pops up on my phone that the number they're calling from, I have it scheduled and I have it set that it's calling from my office number. So I know it's a business number and it's not a personal number, but I still have access to it in my cell phone. So I can answer the phone. This is Cheryl. How may I help you? My team can answer the phone from a distance because my team is spread out all over the world and they can also have phone access. And I love the system and it's very easy to manage and it's inexpensive. So the question that I had was, will they provide you with a new number or is it your same number? And can you put the number on a different phone? So the answer to all of those questions is yes, yes, and yes. They can give you a new number. So you can choose a brand new number with Unitel. But if you already have a business phone number that you have set up, you can also port those numbers. Now, the specifications around what numbers can be ported, it is a little bit more complicated. And when I ported a business number to Unitel, I had to actually get their support team and customer service involved. And they were amazing to me at the time. They did a great job at responding and helping me get set up. You kind of find that one customer service account manager person that just hooks you up. And I had that. And she really helped me port the number because I did have a business number for years that I wanted ported. And so you can port an existing number with Unitel, in my experience. You can also get a brand new number. And whatever number you choose, the phone doesn't really matter. You can download your Unitel app onto whatever phone you'd like to access those numbers from. And if you do choose to have two different cell phones, then you would just download the Unitel app and set it up where that is the phone that will ultimately ring when your number calls. But I'm not sure why you would want to have two different phones. The beauty of having a Unitel phone and VoIP is that If you set it up properly, it will ring to your regular cell phone, but it will show the office and business number. So if it's showing your office and business number, you will know that it is a business call. So you can answer your phone appropriately. You're not going to just be like, what girl, like if your friend was calling you. So it will give you that. So I don't think that you need two different phones. I actually did that in a business of mine. I gave everybody on my staff a cell phone because I wanted business calls to go through a business number. And I ended up wasting so much money over the course of a year contract because people still did not do a good job of keeping track of their cell phone, the extra cell phone, and actually, using it effectively. So it ended up being a waste of money for me. And that was when I realized, you know what, I can just put it on my regular cell phone, put it on even my team's regular cell phones. And if they end up leaving my team and I don't want them to have access, I can control the dashboard of how I set it up, as an administrator, and I can delete them from it. So to answer your question, Sir Lorenzo, yes, and yes. You can use a new number, you can use the same number, and it can be put on any phone that you want, okay? Let me check the comments here and see if there's some questions in here that I can get to answer before I move on to the next one that was emailed to me prior to. What do you think? This is from Ron. What do you think about Microsoft Outlook for business email? Well, Ron, Microsoft Outlook is actually the business email that I recommend. So I believe that in the video, Setting Up Your Business Email and Phone Cheap, I also talk about using Microsoft Outlook. And in my Startup Academy, the online training, I actually walk you through how to set all of that up and how to incorporate Microsoft Outlook. I have used Microsoft Outlook in all of my businesses for years. And here's the reason. I know that there's a lot of folks out there that are competing with Outlook. And so what Outlook really is, it's a email depository. So how I think of it, you can pull any number of email addresses, any kind of email addresses into your Outlook kind of cove. And so in my Outlook, for instance, and I wish I could do a screen share because you guys know I get into this. I will actually show you, and I think I do in the Startup Academy video, give you a screen share because my Gmail comes into my Outlook when I'm using my desktop. All of my email addresses, my administrative assistant's emails, I also have access to those, so that we can back each other up. So any email that I have, whether it's an IMAP email, whether it's a Outlook email, whether it's a Gmail email, whatever it is, I can pull into my Outlook. So all of my emails can be managed that way. And I chose Microsoft because when you're doing business to business, in all honesty, most businesses out there, and for so long, I focus on business to business. I still do work with entrepreneurs, so I guess it still is business to business, although some can be sole proprietors. Most businesses use Microsoft Office. They use the Office suite. They use Office 365. And so calendar invites, it becomes much more seamless and much more professional. It just gives you a different level of credibility because so many businesses out there use Outlook and use the Microsoft suite. Also, when you sign up for Microsoft Outlook, if you sign up for Microsoft 365, you get your Word, your Excel, your PowerPoint, your Publisher. You can get access to all of those either online or even downloading them onto your desktop. So I do recommend Microsoft Outlook. And I believe there might be a link down below in the description that may have a link in there for that. I believe that we do have a Microsoft link. So you can check that out as well. If not, I'll make sure that once we're all done, I'll put it in there. But Microsoft Outlook really does, take care of all of the above for me. It does get clunky if you get massive amounts of emails. So you've got to make sure that you've got your archive set up well. It can get glitchy, but I have so many email addresses that pour into that one depository. I absolutely love it. I am not logging into multiple different apps to check my email. I'm logging into Outlook when I'm on my laptop, when I'm on my desktop, and even from my phone. Although my phone, I look at it a little differently sometimes as well, but I can see all of my emails. And I talk about in my Startup Academy and also in my video that once you establish your emails, you really should set up multiple email accounts. Set up your business from the very beginning with multiple email accounts. And what I mean is, you're going to want one. So your name at yourdomainname.com. You're going to want your administrative assistant that you either have now or that you're going to have in the future to have an email address. So admin at yourdomain.com. You also should have one for finance because I think it's really important for any billing, any subscriptions that you sign up for. You want all of them to go to your finance box because you know how to handle those. So it's also a psychological piece. I've also got help, which is my support for my customer service team. And then I can add whatever I want to. I've got a legal team one as well that my attorney has access to. So when legal documents come through, she automatically receives them. But the reason why from the very beginning, I recommend that you set up multiple emails, and there's like 5 key ones, is because you need to filter the emails that you're getting so that you can prioritize properly and use time management. So for instance, if you know that there is an email that's going to your help, that's your customer. So those emails should be prioritized and read. But if they're all sitting in one box and you open up your inbox and you've got 200 messages, your brain is going to shut down and you're not going to necessarily be able to prioritize getting back to those. So from the very beginning, even when it was just me and I didn't have a team, I had my emails that were relevant to certain aspects of my operations going to the appropriate email box so that I could manage them from the appropriate email box. And that allowed me to grow my team without missing a beat. And here's what I mean when I say that. Even though in the very beginning, I was managing all 5 email accounts, for instance. Once I hired my administrative assistant, she was able to take over that mailbox. So all of the previous emails that had been sent to that mailbox were sent directly to her from that point on. And if I changed administrative assistants, which I did, I have a few times over the years, they just adopt the new email box. There's no transition that needs to take place. They already have a complete historical email perspective for your entire business, whether they've been there or not, simply because you keep that email box for administrative things consistent across the board. And that also applies to your finance, all your billing, all of your subscriptions, all of those things. When you delegate that to a bookkeeper or a finance person, all you got to do is put them in or take them off of that email account. So that's why I also recommend that as well. So hopefully that answered your question, Leonard. Did that answer your question? Good, good. All right, so let's see what other questions. Let me check my list and I will come back, and I see I've got lots of questions in there. And let's see if I can. Sorry, you guys, I don't have my contact lenses in. I'm supposed to wear glasses too, but I'm too vain for glasses, y'all. So I don't put them on. I don't put them on at all. Okay, so I've gotten this question a lot, and naturally, Jay, you also just asked it. You decided to go with iPage for your business domain while setting up your email account, and you noticed that they now charge for each user. Okay, so let me explain what's going on with iPage, because I kept getting this feedback. You know, the original video that I did was about a year now, maybe even almost 2 years ago. And I recommend as a hack iPage when you purchase your domain, right? So I've always purchased my domains and my web hosting, and I need to be very clear on that, from iPage. Now, whether or not I've transferred to a different web host because I wanted to use Wix, or my website developer wanted to use WordPress.org or whatever it is, it didn't matter, because the cost of signing up for iPage now, with the way that it works right now, is this. In order to receive the unlimited emails, you not only need to purchase your domain from iPage, but you need to purchase a web hosting package. So that web hosting package comes, here's the kicker, and I want you to put this in perspective. That web hosting package comes with a free domain as well as unlimited emails. And the web hosting package basically means that you're going to host your website using some of their tools on their site. But you don't have to necessarily do that. You can redirect and point your domain once you purchase it to a different hosting platform. I've purchased on iPage and had Wix, one of my websites a year ago, had my website built in Wix. But because I purchased it, I was able to get that unlimited email. And when you do the math, even if you purchase, I think right now, as of yesterday, iPage's web hosting was like $2.99 a month. If you did it for a year, that included a free domain. So when you think about when you purchase your domain, a domain name can run you anywhere from $10 a year all the way up. I've purchased them, if they're pretty common, mine actually cost closer to $30 a year. So when you purchase that hosting package, whether you host it there or not, let's keep that clear, whether you host it there or not, you're still only paying the $3 a year and you're getting the free domain for the first year. After that, it's going to go up because you're going to have to pay for your annual domain, and then you're also going to have to pay for the web hosting. But it still is so much more cost effective because you get the unlimited free emails. And I just told you how important it is to set up multiple emails when you are first establishing your business. It is going to help you be a lot more organized. It's going to help you manage your business as it grows, and it's going to allow your business to grow with you. So when you think about the fact that other platforms, you get like, I remember I did a Google email, and I was getting charged like per month for every single email, like over 1 or 2. And I, at one point, had a business where I grew it to within 18 months, I had 12 employees. And then 3 years later, I had 65 employees. So can you imagine what it was costing me to grow my business if I had to pay for every single email box that I was providing people with? So yes, iPage still provides the unlimited email. It is now included as a part of their web hosting package that runs about $3 a month, but you get a free domain. So you're not paying for the domain, you're paying for the web hosting, and you get all the unlimited stuff in that package. So hopefully that provides some clarity, because that's one of the questions that I wanted to make sure I addressed on here. And that leads me to, I've got Hello World, it's me again, asked if you already purchased a domain with another host, can you still do this? And the answer is yes. I did double check with iPage. You might need to get their customer service involved. And they have been amazing in the past for me. And I know some people have had problems with them, but myself and my team have not had a whole lot of problems. They really get back and they will walk you through it and actually go in and do it for you, which I love. But you really can transfer. You can bring, anytime you buy a domain with a specific platform, you can always bring it over into a different hosting site. You can always, whether you're going from iPage to GoDaddy or Wix or WordPress, or whether you're doing it in the other direction, you can do it that way as well. And you can just transfer it over and do the exact same thing. So you should be able to go back and forth. I am not an IT person. I have someone who does IT on my team. It's something about the C names and pointing things in different directions. You could also Google it, because I have Googled the specific question about iPage to GoDaddy and GoDaddy back to answer some of you guys' questions in the past. And it will take you to specific facts and Wikipedias with step-by-step instructions. So check that out as well. But I still buy all of my domains through iPage, even if I do get web hosting, even if I don't, because I don't currently host my website that I use right now through iPage. I don't host it that way, but I still am able to utilize the unlimited emails. Once you have that web hosting package and that domain chosen, you can go in and that same, I think I did another video that kind of did a walkthrough. And I'll try to link to that one as well, or put it down in the description below when we're all done. And that walkthrough walks you through how to actually create those emails. So you can check that out too. Let me do a quick check in here. Let me go back. Let's get into some business addresses. I talked about business email. Could you possibly send out another link that require the business checklist? You mean the startup business checklist? Let me know if that's the one that you mean, and I will go ahead and put that link in here as well. Yes, my startup business checklist. I will. It should be www.CherylCPerez.com/startup roadmap. /startup roadmap. I believe that's the one that you're talking about. So let me know for sure, and I'll make sure I get that link in there. So let's talk about business addresses. Let me do a quick scan. I've got a question. What do you think of having a business address at the USPS store? Which I'm guessing is more of a PO box style. Let's see if any other questions for addresses on this one. Okay, I'm going to take a look there. So should you set it up at the USPS store? These are more general one. I answered that one. Customer service hours, I'll get to that as well, probably next week. Okay, and I got another one, business address, what company, virtual addresses. I get a lot of those. Professional, virtual. Can you register your business with a virtual address? All right, so let's talk a little bit about the virtual addresses and what your business address should be. I know I recently did a video on business addresses and the differences between having a virtual office, having a virtual address, and using your home address or a PO box. And I also get questions about business credit. If you establish your business credit, what address should you use? So when you are registering your business as an LLC or as an S Corp or as a corporation, if you're a not-for-profit or whatever you're registering your business as, whatever you've chosen to register your business as, when you list, in most states, they require you, I think all 50 states require you to list an agent and your agent of service, that's your registered agent. The reason why, if you have an agent, whatever address you put down for that agent, and the requirement for an agent, I've gone over in the video, you can make sure you check that out, but it's you have to be over 18, you have to have an address where you can be served, so that's like a physical location, right? And you have to have an address that's pretty much not a PO box, right? So whatever address you put for that registered agent, that is the address that is going to show to the public as your business contact information. So when you're registering your business and you're filling out your articles of incorporation, you may list a different business address there for your articles of incorporation. So let's just say you decide to put, your home address there. If you put your home address there, and your registered agent's address is something totally different, that is what the public is going to ultimately see, because your home address on your articles of organization don't really matter as far as the state is concerned. They want to know where they should be sending service documents, process documents, tax documents, anything that your business is served with. So they're going to send it to that registered agent. And if somebody goes to the state website and looks you up, they're going to see that registered agent address. Okay. So the reason why virtual addresses are usable, yes, you can absolutely 100% use them. But if there is a virtual address and someone cannot physically serve your organization there, that is why they recommend a physical address, because you could get processed documents physically served to you. For instance, in TV and in the movie, somebody walk up to the door and they be like, you have been served. That can happen to your business. So that is why the address that you list with your business is important. And ideally, they want you to have a physical address. So that could be a virtual office, which is different, right? Virtual office is basically a workspace that you rent that has a physical location, but you may not necessarily be paying rent that kind of way, or, have a huge office space. You're just kind of using that. And then you also have a virtual address that you can utilize for business stuff. That virtual address or PO box or whatever the case may be that you've chosen for your business, you can put that on if I'm signing up for a service over here, or if I'm, getting my AT&T bill or anything like that. But honestly, for your business registration, your agent's address is the one that's going to show. And you want your agent's address to be a place where they can ultimately be served. So if you put your home address in there, for instance, if you put your home address is what's going to show to the public. Now, it's not going to say this is the owner's residence, but if somebody wants to look you up, they're going to be able to come to your home to do it. So keep that in mind when you're choosing your business address. PO boxes are not allowed on certain types of legal business forms. For instance, when you register for your tax ID number, you cannot use a PO box. You have to have a virtual address, or a physical address. But again, for the purpose of registering your business, you want your agent's address to have the ability for you to be physically served. So it doesn't have to be the same address that you put on everything else. But when you're talking about business credit, people say, well, if I apply for a credit card, what type of address? Can I use this type of address? When you're establishing your business credit, the big thing that they are looking for, if you are a startup, is a history of existence. So they're trying to figure out, with all of the information that you're providing, whether or not your business is legit and whether or not your business has a consistent presence, enough of a presence to be categorized as a business that they want to consider giving money to. Because if you're just kind of playing and you're not really doing business, they don't want to give you credit. They don't want to give you money. So the key with business credit is your addresses need to be consistent because they're going to start looking and digging to establish you as an organization. And if you've got a different address over here and another one over there, they're not going to be able to find you. They're not going to be able to validate who you are as a business. That's the most important piece of business credit. It's not necessarily the specifics of whether or not your address should be virtual or PO or this or that. Now, there are some loans that won't allow that if you're applying for like a bigger business loan or some grants, things like that. It just depends upon the entity itself. But the big thing with business credit is consistency. It's consistency. They don't want to see a bunch of different addresses every time they look up your business. They don't want to go on Google and see a different address, then go to the state and see a different address, and then, go to this credit card or this merchant account that you've set up over here that will track to your credit once you've got your Duns and Bradstreet number, all that kind of stuff. They don't want to see that's a different address. So consistency, my loves, is the most important thing. So my point is, what your address is that you choose that address and use that address. That's the address that you should use when you're applying for merchant accounts and bank accounts and things like that. So make that decision based upon that as well. I've always had, as I've mentioned in the video, physical office addresses. I just work better not from home because I'm in that zone and that works better for me. But that's kind of my answer to the whole business address thing and when it comes to credit as well. So I've gotten that. Take no nonsense. I've heard that UPS stores will give you a physical address with a box number. And honestly, that, okay. So that to me is a red flag. The reason is because everybody that uses that same UPS store, let's just say they've got 400 boxes in there. When someone runs a check on the address of your business for credit purposes or just to check into you or whatever, how many more businesses are going to show up at that exact same address, that physical address that they give you, even if you have a different box number, right? How many other people? Now, you might say, well, that would be the same case if it was an office building and it was a suite number. And that could be the case, absolutely. But I think that most people are going to know the difference between an office and then, a USPS store. And I have seen people using them. And the key really when you're thinking about your address is you don't want to keep changing it. But if you got to start with that because that's where you're comfortable, just start. It's okay. You can always change it. It is a pain in the ass. I've only changed offices twice in my entire 25 years of running businesses because it is that much of a pain in the butt, y'all. But I've done it and you can too. So if a virtual address isn't really something that you're into and you want to be able to physically go pick up your mail from a place, that might be an option for you. It really depends upon what your intentions are for your business. Are you going to apply for credit? Are you going to continue down that line? And are you going to be able to maintain that consistent address? Okay. Hopefully that answers your question on addresses. Let me take a look some more. I've got some more in here. Should we set up the virtual address, emails, phone, etc. first before getting your LLC and trademark? And that's from K Whitlow 0. No. I would recommend trademark. Yes, you can wait because your trademark is going to be a much longer process. If you've gone through that, it depends upon if you're doing like national, federal, all those kind of things. But I would definitely say, and I go through this, once you pick your business name, you want to check and make sure that it's available everywhere. And that includes all of your social media. I have another video that I've done about your business name. Check that one out because I also give you a link to namechecker.com. so that you can actually go out and check. It will tell you if the domain is available. It will tell you all the social handles that are available in that name. And then you also want to do a state search for that name. So that's 3 places that you want to make sure you check. Once you've identified that name is available across the board, you want to immediately, in this order, do your LLC, secure your domain. Once you apply for your LLC and you know it's available, the application is gone. Now, I know a lot of states are sending you back the information like almost instantly. They're creating them in like rapid paces. Some states are still mailing. and some are still taking time. But you want to do your LLC. Once you've registered that, then you want to grab your domain. You kind of want to do it all at the same time, right? Grab your domain, grab your social handles, anything once you see it's available and you know that that's going to be your name and you know it's available with your state, just grab it because it can be hard to come by. And there are real estate people out there who grab common names. And when you go to get your domain, it can be thousands of dollars if you didn't necessarily grab it. I've been there. I was looking for CherylPerez.com and it was like 20 grand to get. I ain't lying. It was like a real estate broker and his name was not Cheryl Perez. He was just buying up popular names so that if you wanted the domain, you had to come and ultimately buy it from him. He could put his own price. It's like, I call them, online domain real estate agents, investors. They just buy the domains up and then they sell them. So that is a big deal. But I would say you want to kind of get them on at the same time, but definitely get your LLC. Your trademark's going to take a little bit longer, so you don't have to wait to do the other stuff before that, but definitely get your LLC set up for that. Can you have two virtual addresses, one for your business and the other for the registered agent? You can have two. You can have as many as you want. But again, the registered agent piece, they need to be able to be physically served, right? So that address they have to have a physical address where they can ultimately be served with documents. And virtual addresses don't allow you to do that. So keep that in mind. And I do make the recommendation of an accountant or an attorney for a registered agent. But again, when I first started my couple of businesses, I used a really good friend. You can do that as well. I used a really good friend that had an office and I used her business address. So I used my daughter at one point, which wasn't the greatest idea, but I get into all that in the video. So make sure you check that out. Yes, it's true. When the UPS store address is Googled, they will see a picture of that store. Correct. Would you recommend starting with the Email Essentials plan or the Business Plus through Microsoft 365? I have to check and make sure. The Email Essentials plan, if I'm not mistaken, includes Outlook access, and then the Business Plus includes access to all of the other, all of the other apps, the Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and it just depends on how comfortable you are in those apps. I don't use Google Docs and Google Excel sheets and things like that. I use Microsoft because that is a common business document. So even if I am, sending it or attaching it to someone else, they typically are going to have Microsoft Office in my experience. So I would say it just depends upon where you are. And I would also tell you, naturally, Jay, keep it as simple and as cheap as possible in the beginning until your business, you start making some sales and your business starts making some money. So you can always upgrade. I ain't never had a provider tell me that I couldn't upgrade. Okay. They will let you upgrade at any time. So start slow, get comfy. And as you determine that you want more and that you need more, then you can always upgrade. Does that make sense? Perfect. Okay. So let me take a look at this one too. So I started a business. This one is from Sweet Melody 1326. Hey there. I started a business over 10 years ago and I took a long hiatus and now I'm getting things back together, but I found another person who has the same name. What should I do? Okay, so I've got a couple of questions with relationship to that. Did you officially start the business? Did you actually register the business? Because if you did, I'm not sure how they would have the exact same name. Your state, unless they're in a whole different state, because that is state, which is why trademarks kind of come in from a national level, those types of things. So did you officially start the business? If it's not registered and someone else took the name that you've been kind of doing business as for 10 years, then you're going to probably have to pick a new name, which is absolutely going to suck if you've been doing it for 10 years. That brand is probably already established, girl. I feel you. It's going to be stressful. So tweak the name, add a little something to the name if you have a stronger brand. But if you use the same name as another business, the chances and the likelihood of them getting traffic that you send their way is high. It's high. So if you are used to using your name and someone Googles it, it's very likely that that other place will come up and you might send business their way, especially if you guys are selling the same products and services and doing kind of the same business. So that is something that I would be concerned about. I wouldn't want to send my traffic to nobody else, right? But in the same respect, they could be sending traffic your way. So how much you want to change the name and tweak it in order to be close would be up to you. I would say you got to weigh whether or not they have a stronger presence, whether or not they're ranking higher on Google, what's happening in that respect, whether or not you want to keep the same name. But if you can, just pick a new name just to avoid all that, girl. Just pick a new name. All right. And I've got lots of reasons why. I mean, people love their business names. It's like the first thing you think about when you start coming up to entrepreneurship. You think about it. But it really ain't that deep. Most entrepreneurs are going to start more than one business anyway. So if you got a business idea, most likely you're going to start it in a few years anyway. If you start to become addicted to this entrepreneurship thing. So, and I'm sorry, I know I went outside of the email and phone number thing. So I'll get into that next week. More things like name. I've got a bunch of agent of service, a bunch of LLC formation, nonprofit questions. Do I offer personal coaching? I get that question a lot as well. Yes, I do. However, it's limited. I only have a small handful of entrepreneurs that I work with one-on-one on an annual basis. It is by application only. The best way to find out if you qualify for it, if I've got an open spot, or if it's a good fit for you, is to schedule a free strategy call with me. And it is with me. It used to be with a person from my team. So sometimes I get on the strategy calls and people are surprised that they're actually talking to me, for 30 minutes about their businesses. But it is me. I don't have anybody else do it. So I do also limit those as well, but you can always reach out for that and we can work together. But even better than the one-on-one personal coaching, as I mentioned already, is the Startup Academy membership that is going to be unveiled next week, and it's going to start next week. That is the closest thing that I could get to being able to work with you one-on-one and give you all of the trainings that my one-on-one coachees get access to. Because when you're in my coaching program one-on-one, we not only have calls, you also have video trainings that you go through in between our calls to teach you how to do the stuff that we work on your specific action item list for your business to grow it and to start it. And so the Startup Academy is going to be like the closest thing that I could get to that one-on-one. And it will include right now, because it's going to be new, it will include monthly live group coaching Q&As with me in our private space. For members only. So that is going to be exciting. And it does give me an opportunity to kind of coach you through those questions that you could submit throughout the month. So hopefully I answered that question for you as well. Let me take a look-see. Sorry, I came in late. Did you say if LegalZoom for registration is a good or bad idea? Okay. Jordan Davis. How are you, beautiful? All right. LegalZoom. Okay. So I don't want to, okay, y'all, I'm about to keep it real. This is one of those moments. I have never been one to want to pay someone else to do registration for me because it is easy to do yourself directly with your state. I am not sure. I know I have a video on types of business and how to get registered. I don't know if in that video it was cut out, because obviously I can only do videos that are so long on YouTube, right? So I'm not sure if in that video it was actually edited out the screen share of how to do it, but I know in the Startup Academy, in that online portal, a detailed video on how to actually register yourself. Because when you're doing your articles of organization, depending upon how you are registering your business, and this is probably more for next week's discussion, but you can do it yourself. Now, some states require you to submit articles of organization, like the actual document itself. And actually in the Startup Academy, I provide people with kind of a template that you can use, your operating agreement that you can use. But you can really register yourself. You really can. That's nothing against LegalZoom or Rocket Lawyer or any of those types of services out there. I just feel like they charge you for stuff that you don't need them for. You just don't. I can go on. I have given my kids gifts because I've got entrepreneurial spirited children, y'all. And my oldest son started a business, and he started, kind of a musical career doing production and making beats and stuff like that for people. As a matter of fact, he's amazing. And the beats that you hear on CPTV, he actually did my intro as well. And when he was starting his business, I gave it a little bit of time to see if he was really serious. And for Christmas that year, I gave him his complete business setup, his LLC formation, like a branding kit. I did all that stuff as his Christmas gift. It literally took me 15 minutes to register his business. So LegalZoom and them, they will do it for you, but I don't know how much they're charging now. I've heard $300, $400, $500, depending upon your state. If you've got a complicated business structure set up, you might want to look into them. They're not bad, but you can do it yourself. I promise you. You can do that and get your tax ID yourself. All right. Let's see. What other questions that I have in here did I miss? Keep them coming, guys. I will continue to answer as long as you want me to. Well, at least for 10 more minutes. I'm on mom duty tonight. We're actually putting finishing touches on Startup Academy, and then I'm on mom duty tonight. So let's see. I want to make sure I address the phone, email ones. So is there a valid reason? This is from Tanya. Is there a valid reason for me to have a VoIP system? I would love to hear your thoughts. And, why would she spend the additional money to subscribe to a voice system? She has a second business phone. Okay. So, yes, there is a valid reason for you to have a VoIP. The biggest valid reason for it is because it's going to be very difficult for you to grow and to add it to a team and to delegate to anybody else if you're the only one that has access to your business phone. Keep in mind, anytime you are the only one who knows how to do something in your business or knows how to access something, or you are the only one that has access to something, that means that you will always be the only one doing it. Okay? You will always be the only one doing it. And that, my love, is not freedom. So I teach you the way that I do so that you can set your business up with my hindsight that is 2020 at this point. So you can set your business up in a way for it to grow and get to that next level. So when I say set up 5 emails, even if you're the only one doing it right now, managing it, it's okay. Because I learned that the reason why you set those up is because eventually you will want to delegate those things to someone else. Right? And it's going to be an easy transition for you to do that. The processes that you create, the stuff that you document, your sales processes, what you do, when you're a new entrepreneur, you're going to always be doing that stuff first. And it's a pain in the ass. I know. But you learn so much, and you should do everything first. I'm a big proponent of that because you will never be able to teach someone else how to do it. You will never be able to hold someone else accountable for doing it. And you will never be able to bring someone onto your team that feels empowered to do it if you don't know how to do it. We've all had those managers before. I was in corporate America and had a 9-to-5 before I started my businesses. And there was nothing worse than working for somebody who managed me, who I was supposed to report to, who was technically my boss. There was nothing worse than having to do that with somebody who I felt like I knew more than, or who couldn't tell me nothing because they couldn't even train me because they didn't know how to do it themselves. The credibility of that person went through the floor, and I had no holla for them. And that's probably why I'm an entrepreneur, because I became absolutely bitchy when it came down to that. So you really, 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 from your own perspective, need to have a VoIP system, because as you grow your team, You can add extensions, you can give them access, and you can empower them to take those phone calls off your plate. If you just have another cell phone number and you're the one walking around with that cell phone, you will always be the only one that can answer that phone, right? Then you're going to go through the headache potentially of growing to a point where you want to add other people and you can't because that number won't port, or you didn't have it set up. So just set up the VoIP in the beginning, because paying for a whole nother phone service is going to be the same price as setting up your Unitel VoIP system. So that's kind of my recommendation on that. If you feel what I'm saying, put a hell yeah in the comments, y'all. Put a hell yeah in the comments. Do you recommend using the same phone number for two businesses? Using virtual assistant, giving options for both companies. Marika, that is a very good question. I have actually done that, and the hardest part was the receptionist, the initial phone message that people see. So your virtual receptionist that comes on, because in your initial message, you want it to reflect what business someone is calling, right? So it was difficult for me. I ended up with two different numbers. So I do have like two different brands, two different businesses right now. They're all under Cheryl C. Perez brands, but they're two different businesses, and they do have separate phone numbers. And I just set them up both with Unitel. So I've got a Unitel number on this one. I've got a Unitel number on this one. I tried to just merge it and do it together, and it just wasn't the professional image that I wanted to portray, because they were two different business names. And when someone called in, girl, they would hear my message, "Thank you so much for calling, big HR." And they're like, "Well, I don't think I'm calling the right number." And so then it kind of resorted to me needing to have two different numbers. But yes. So for me though, like I mentioned in the beginning, my one business has a different phone number. That's Unitel. And then I have that's not Unitel. And I have hard desk phones for my team that's in the office. Now with the pandemic, a lot of people are out of the office, so they do use the VoIP piece. But I have that because we have hard phones. And then for my other business, it's completely VoIP, and it's completely virtual, because my team they're all over the world. So they ultimately need to be able to have access to the phone as well. And believe it or not, we don't get a whole lot of phone calls anymore. I don't know what the pandemic did, but we don't get a whole lot of people just want to be able to email and text and, that kind of a thing. So, we still do get phone calls from our old school clients who want to actually talk to somebody, and we still get those. But the majority of our phone calls have dropped down so significantly that I can't even imagine. Back in the day, y'all, I had a phone bill that was like $3,000 a month from like an old school. It wasn't VoIP. They had to come in and hardwire and build this thing in the wall. Long story, but I can't even imagine ever paying that much for phone service again. I don't care how big your business is. It just doesn't make good sense, especially now because so many people don't use phones anymore. They're so used to email and, being able to communicate that way. All right, so let's see what we got. Oh, Ron, what do I think about holding companies? So, I will make sure that I address that next week when we talk about startup business stuff, or you can email me directly. I don't want to necessarily use this platform for it, but I as I've gotten bigger and have multiple companies, I am a believer in them, as long as I am the owner of the holding company. But that's a whole nother talk, right? All right. So let me make sure. I want to make sure I get a couple of links in here for you guys. Because I know a couple of you asked for the startup business roadmap. So I'm going to put that in. Startup roadmap. I did just get that as a option. So I just put that in there for you guys. So any other questions? We're getting ready to wrap up. I'm just going to make sure I do a quick check to make sure that I was able to at least address my specific business phone, email, and address questions that we got today. Make sure that you log in next week for our live. I'm going to be answering general startup questions from anything and everything that you got. You can throw my way. I wanted to get the business and phone out of the way this week because there are so many, but I do have a ton more that get into, registered agents and LLCs and setting up your business and processes and customer service systems and specific industry type questions that I want to get into with you guys next week. So I'm giving you the heads up because your CPTV family, you are here today. Write down what you're thinking of. If you're watching CPTV videos and you've got questions, write them down and bring them. Bring them with you next week, or email my team help@CherylCPerez.com between this Tuesday and next Tuesday's live, and I will make sure that I print them out and that we kind of address them and answer them as quickly and as much as possible. If you're already a CP Insider, please make sure that you can just hit reply to the email that you received today from me. You can hit reply. That will go back to the help and ask a question as we prepare for next week's live. I am so excited to be here with you guys. Do I have any links to the Voip services I mentioned, and what's a good price to pay for phone service, and what's a good place to start getting a domain name? All right, so I'm going to address all of them real quick before we jump off. Domain name, ipage.com. I have a video that I've done. You can search in my channel called Setting Up Your Business Phone and Email 3 Hacks. It talks about ipage.com in that video, so check that out. See Will. Jack, what's the best way to do an address again? The video that I did a couple of weeks ago, Need a Business Address, I dive deep into the differences with virtual addresses, virtual offices, PO boxes versus your home address. I would definitely say the best way to do an address, it depends upon if you're doing it for your business or your registered agent and where that's coming from. But you definitely need to have an address that's not your home address and not a PO box. All right. So it depends upon your business. Virtual addresses work for some. Virtual offices work better for others. It's all about where your price point is because of the differences. But check out that video because I do get into the pros and cons of each of those things. Do I have any links to the Voip service I mentioned? Unitel, I do. It should be right below this video. The Unitel link is in there. You can click that link and it will take you directly there. Good price for pay for phone service. When I first signed up for Unitel, I believe it was like $5 or $9 a month. I think it still is around that price. I think somebody else told me that it may have gone up to close to 20 bucks a month, but that was it. And you get, extensions and a receptionist and everything. So it's a great value. And can you change your registered agent address from your home address to a virtual address? Yes, you can. Each state will have on the state website where you're registered. If you go to like business services, it's usually your Secretary of State website. They will tell you what form you need to fill out in order to change your agent of service. They usually charge you for that change. I know Ohio and Florida, because I've got businesses registered in multiple states. Ohio is like $25, I want to say, to make the change. To the agent's address or make a change to your agent. And I believe that Florida was about $70, although I haven't needed to change them in a while. So I have to double check those prices. Don't quote me on that. But yes, you can change them out for sure. Sorry, but did you cover this? Eric, do you have different licenses with Microsoft to get the other email accounts? You mean with iPage to get the unlimited email? You don't have to sign up for Microsoft Office through iPage in order to get the unlimited emails. They have a partnership with iPage, and so iPage promotes them as a email kind of depository that I mentioned. But I also have a link, I believe, down below for Microsoft Office that you can go directly to Microsoft, and you don't have to necessarily go through iPage in order to get it. And I do have one license with Microsoft. Statement of information. Thank you, Jazzy Blue. $20 in California to change your agent of service. Yes, Jazzy Blue, it's correct. In order to have multiple domains, you have to have multiple Microsoft Office accounts. It's correct. And you would want to anyway. Now, that's only if you want, this is a whole nother issue, but it's only if you want to have the domain name pulling directly. You can pull a different email address into Outlook with IMAP. And I can't remember what the other one is called. I always set it up with IMAP. But in my current Outlook account, I've got my Cheryl C. Perez emails. I've got my big HR emails. I've got my Gmail that comes into Outlook. So yes, if I want to actually connect it, kind of in the back end of Microsoft Office, you would have to get a different one. If you want the domain connected specifically, for that whole transfer thing, but you can pull any emails into your Outlook. All you got to do is go over and set up a new address and put the IMAP specifications in. And that might be a good one to add to the Startup Academy training to walk everybody through. I think that might be a good one. So I'm going to make a note of that. But thank you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you. I am so excited. Let me know if you need anything anything at all. I will see you guys next week. Hopefully I answered your probing questions around business addresses, phone, and email. I think I covered the ones I've gotten at least in the last 4 months. I didn't really go before that. So if you've got any other questions, make sure you put them down in the comments below. Make sure that you grab your startup business roadmap. I think I put the link in the comments as well. Join the SUA waitlist if you want to find out more about my membership and working with me in almost a one-on-one capacity that will be opening up next week. I'm looking forward to that. And I will see you guys next Tuesday. Until then, my loves, I will see you soon. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Mwah!